Thank you for coming. Um, my name is Shahi Mangarian. I am originally from Beirut, Lebanon. Moved to the moved to Los Angeles in 1979. We started on this project, IALA. We started IALA about 4 or 5 years ago, when, or maybe it was like right in the middle of the pandemic. I can't remember, but I remember speaking to Olivia on the phone about the mentorship program. One of the first things that she asked was, what would interest you?" And I said, the mentorship program. I think we should create one for Armenian writers. And when we started, I think that first year we had about 8, 9 mentees. And then by last year, we have already 35 mentees going through this program. So this will be our fourth year. And again, the range is huge when it comes to the writing. There's poetry, novels, short story, nonfiction. So the range is huge. And with this year, we're also including, or actually, we started last year with translation. But the point is, we've had great mentors who are giving their time to assist, help, guide our mentees. And it's been, when it has worked beautifully. The Between the mentor and the mentee, the relationship, that the mentor guides the mentee and hopefully brings the writing into some kind of fruition. We've had some mentees who eventually became mentors. Um, some mentees got published or are getting published right now. So it's very encouraging to see this, to create this kind of community. Um, so without further ado, I want to take this to Hovsep. Hovsep, why don't you take over about the submission process, maybe, and then maybe we can talk to the mentors and hear from their side.
Yeah. Thank you, Shaya. I I don't have so much to say except that the guidelines and everything is available on the website. I will share my screen real fast, and you can also take a look if you haven't seen it already. All right, so these are the application guidelines. The deadline is April 14th, and there's a time there. The mentorship will be from July 1st until August 31st. We're also accepting translation applications this year. So if you are a translator or if you know someone and you can spread the word as well from Eastern or Western Armenian into English, those are also welcome. We had a case last year that was successful, and we wanted to expand this year into translation as well. And yeah, the guidelines are pretty clear. The genres Shahia already mentioned. The applicant must be 18 years of age, before the mentorship starts. You shouldn't have a traditionally published book, which means if you have independently published a book, it's fine, but it shouldn't be through a third party. Identification as an Armenian, being an active IALA member, you can get familiar with what it's the membership tiers. We also offer waivers to those who are unable to pay or want to get a discount on their membership. What you need to provide is in the application for creative fiction and nonfiction is 10 pages. And for poetry, it's 5 to 10 pages. And for translation, it's up to 5 pages, including the original source that you're translating from. Submissions are in English. The submissions should be in the genre that you want to work with, and then ideally from the same project that you want to work on. And yeah, if you were accepted to the program before, I don't see anyone here, you can't participate again. But if you've applied before and it hasn't, if you weren't successful, then you can apply as many times as you wish. Oftentimes it's because we don't have enough mentors, or we accepted 20 mentees, 21 actually last year. So there's a certain capacity as well for us. So please don't be discouraged if you're not accepted. You can always apply and then try again another year. And then the important note is that participants must commit to 4 meetings during the 2-month mentorship program, and then also be willing to work on your, writing and translation. It's important to be timely and respect the mentor's time, because mentors are, doing this work voluntarily and, passionately. You can also see, if you're not familiar with the mentorship application, everything's in here before you apply. You can also get familiar with it. We also ask like how much time you can commit to during the mentorship program, working on your craft, etc. I will stop here. I want to introduce our wonderful mentors, Aida Zilelian and Jen Siraganian. In addition to being wonderful writers, Aida has been a mentor with us for it's going to be the 4th year now, which is very generous. She's also on our advisory board. And Jen was a mentee with us the year before, and last year she was a mentor. So when Shahe mentioned that, so we've had some mentees who have become mentors, and that's amazing. She's also on our poetry committee. So yeah, I'll just let you, Aida, if you want to go first and talk about your experience a little bit, and then Jen can also do that, and then we can open the room for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So it is going to be my 4th year. Last year, I took on 2 mentees, which was really lovely. And I primarily work with fiction, whether it's short story or long form. And I absolutely love doing it. And one of the reasons I love doing it is because it's my 21st year teaching high school. And it's very different to teach difficult kids who have been dumped into creative writing, as opposed to somebody, regardless of their age, actually, who willingly wants to work on their work. And I love talking about everything from the submission process to, is this the right word to use, to feeling not so wonderful because suddenly there are 5 rejections in your inbox. All of it. I really, really enjoy getting to know people and beyond connecting. And one of the cool things I want to mention, for the first year that I taught, that I was a mentor, I'll say this, and I think I'll leave the rest to the Q&A. All of the mentees started a WhatsApp group, and they were all communicating with each other, which I didn't even know. I think Nancy Gabian was the one. She's like, did you know about this? They're all writing to each other about their experiences. So you don't just have that one-on-one dry for meeting kind of thing, right? So you really do get to meet people. And if you're good at staying in touch and they're great at staying in touch, you have friends who are writers. And I find it very hard to find people who are writers who can also be my friend. I find that to be challenging. So that's all I wanted to say. I won't take up too much time.
Thanks, Aida. Hi, I'm Jen Siraganian. Yeah, I've had such a really remarkable experience. I was, as Hofsep had mentioned. So yeah, basically I was mentored 2 years ago, and with Arthur, who's a poet who's just so talented and doing really sort of breakthrough work with his poems. And it was so interesting to be matched up with him, because our work there's so many similarities, and there's so many, and just ideas in terms of like the complexities and the kind of things that I was struggling with, of how to sort of capture them in poetry. And he understood it completely. And for the first time, and I've been in so many writing groups, and I've been through an MFA and all these kind of things, but I always felt I had to sort of explain where I was coming from, and sort of dealing with, how to write about the genocide and write about identity and write about all these kind of issues. And he just like got it. And so like basically once you could like cut through all of that, it was like, oh, okay. So that was really refreshing. And so my writing just really like sort of exploded when we were working together. He gave me a lot of feedback on poems, and I'm a poet, sorry. And that really, so it's very exciting now, because now all these poems are getting accepted and published in journals I never even imagined. And it really was because of the assistance from him. And then last year I got paired up and was a mentor to a poet, and who, again, it was like so interesting to be able to sort of explore like this poet's ideas of like also like how do you bring all these ideas together about identity and about these kind of complex issues and I think it's just very unique. I don't know. I had never met an Armenian poet before I joined IALA. And that was sort of when I applied for the mentorship was, I think that was in my application, was like, I don't know Armenian poets, like I need help. And now it's really been such a fruitful experience and shifted, even like shifted how I write. Because I know like, okay, so there are other poets who are really like battling, but also embracing the same kind of issues that I am. And so it's been really huge. And in terms of like the time commitment, you also sort of work together so you can, I mean, it is during the summer, which is really, most people have a little bit more lightness during that time of year. But also people travel, so that kind of thing comes up too. But you're really, you work together and you sort of set those parameters in the beginning and then and it's just really incredible. And you have this connection that's really that I haven't had in other experiences. So I highly recommend it. It's yeah, it affects you in like really deep ways. So
Yeah, Shai, unless if you wanted to add something, but we can open it to questions.
One of the things that Aida said was that the group definitely becomes a family in some ways behind the scenes. And once the group gets selected, the mentees get selected, we will have another meeting like this. That's when everybody gets to know who's in the program. So that's when we start sharing contacts, or if they want to share contacts with each other. So that happens. So once we select the group, we get together again one more time as a big team, and we start talking about our summer. Hofsep?
Thank you. Yes, we're ready for your questions.
Hofsep, I think we have communicated before. Okay. Now, thank you very much for placing my book in whatever newspapers you had. I intend to write 4 books, actually. I've lived in 4 places. I was born in Aleppo. I lived there for my first 16 years of life. Another 11 years in Lebanon. Another 11 years in the UAE, Dubai and Sharjah. And I've been here in Cyprus since 1992. And I want to write a book about each community. My first book was Life Within the Armenian Community of Aleppo. I wrote in Armenian and translated into English because I've been a translator for 25 years. The second book was supposed to be about Lebanon, but I couldn't because there was so much war during the days I was there, and I just couldn't concentrate, So I jumped to UAE. The book is ready in both Armenian and English, but I haven't published it. So I published Life Within the Armenian Community of Aleppo in Armenian and English, and Life Within the Armenian Community of Cyprus in Armenian and English, both my translations. Now, the thing is, this is self-publishing. I've got a publisher in Dubai, is an Armenian fellow. I cannot concentrate because of my age, I can't really, I'm 70 years old. So he's helping me to self-publish through Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Now, am I eligible to go through with the third book that I'm writing now, Life Within the Armenian Community of Lebanon? I've written about 1/3 of the book, 11,000. I count with words. So am I eligible? It's actually memoirs, not fiction. My memoirs, true stories, short stories.
Thank you, Manuk. Yes, you are. If it's self-published, you are. So when we say traditionally published books, we mean a third party has been involved in publishing the book. But in this case, you would be.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Manuk.
Thank you.
Norait, what is next?
Right. Thank you, Hofsep, and thank you, Aida and Jen, for your beautiful introductions. And it gave me a better idea of how the program works and how the communication between mentees and mentors really work. So as I am a translator myself, and although I write poetry and short stories, but they are predominantly in Armenian, I am looking forward to applying for the translators as a translator. And I just wanted to ask about the mentor for the translation submissions, if there is such for now. Thanks.
Yeah. We had Jennifer Manoukian, who was a translator with us last year. Even for writers as well, we don't have a list of confirmed mentors at the moment. We usually receive the applications first and then try to pair, with the right match. Yeah, it depends on the application. If in the application you can specify if you have a dream, mentor that you want to work with, you can specify too, and then we can try to contact them and see if they're available. If not, we will match you with who we think is a good fit based on your application.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Jackie?
Thanks for taking my question. I was wondering if this is exclusively for Armenian writers who are not specifically writing on Armenian content.
So as long as you have Armenian heritage, it doesn't matter what you write about. Everything is welcome.
Awesome. Great. Well, I definitely have the heritage. Thank you very much, both sides.
Thank you as well.
Survivors. Okay.
Lori, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for just doing this. I think it's so great. I'm so happy IALA exists, and the way you guys want to mentor writers and build communities just really, I don't know, just makes me happy. I had a question about the application, the writing sample. So, well, one, does it matter if it's unpublished or published? And then the other question is, well, for me, I kind of write pieces of various lengths. So sometimes they're short, they're not 10 pages. So would you recommend 10 pages from one essay or whatever? Or does it matter? Could it be 5 short pieces?
Thank you.
Creative nonfiction. Sorry, I should have specified.
And for the kind words as well. Shai, do you want to take this?
Is this when you're submitting your work? Is that what?
Submitting it, yeah.
I would prefer if it's one work rather than snippets of different, because you're saying it's a longer piece. So I'd rather have 10 pages of one work than snippets of the 1 page from one work, 1 page from the other. That's better because we really get to understand what kind of writer you are. But I've also seen writers do that, where they've sent a page or two from one writing, another. But I personally prefer one long piece so that we can really get into your work. Aida and Jen, I mean, you can also jump in too, but that's the feeling I get when it comes to longer piece.
One long submission really allows us to see development and depth and transition. It's prose regardless of what. So personally, I love just a breath, like beginning to end, and let me see where it begins and ends. Yeah.
And unpublished or published, does it matter?
There are so many unpublished things that are beautiful. Send it.
Thanks.
Jackie, you had another question?
Yeah, sorry, quick question. Did you cover whether this is just fiction, nonfiction, poetry? I saw the website. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on poetry submissions, but is this also like could I submit a chapter of a nonfiction piece? Would that be a good submission? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It doesn't, poetry is just one of the genres, so it doesn't have to be poetry. So just the genre that you want to work with, your submission has to be in that genre as well. So if you want to work on nonfiction, then please submit nonfiction. If it's poetry, etc.
Does anyone have questions about what happens after the program's over?
I
I think Aida, you should share.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I'm just right. So when the program is over, is everything over, or has everything started? Right, and that's sort of what I always tell my mentees, like, have you ended or have you begun? I like to check in with my mentees, but believe it or not, they're sort of like, I'm good. But I always leave them with, like, I'm always here for you. Come, send me any questions you have. For me personally, I love an ongoing communication, even if it's sporadic. And so I love having that conversation when I meet with a mentee, or last year I had two, of like, what happens after this is over? Right? Is this just a one-stop shop, or what's your direction overall as a writer, and how does the mentorship program fit into that? Just something to think about. What happens when it's over? That's all I wanted to put out there.
Thank you, Aida. Yeah, and to add, I want to add that each relationship is very unique and personal. So it depends on, if you end up having a really good relationship with your mentor, you can continue working with them for like a period beyond the mentorship program. So it really depends on, your communication and how much you enjoy working with each other. Also, something that is tangible that comes after the mentorship program is our Emerging Writer Showcase. If you haven't seen it, you can go watch recordings of it for the previous years on our YouTube channel. It's a chance for all the mentorship program participants to, read from their work, showcase their work, as well as the winners of our YAPA contest, the Young Armenian Poets Awards. Yeah, it's just a big gathering of all, like, our community, new members, emerging writers who come together and present their work. So keep that in mind as well. Yeah, we can take a question from Amara and then go back to Jackie.
Thank you. Yeah, this is very, very cool. I'm so glad this exists. I just want to double check that everything is virtual. So like this summer, I'll be in a combination of like Toronto and various parts of Turkey and Armenia. So it's as long as like the commitment to writing is there, everything is virtual. There's no in person. I don't need to be in a particular place at a particular time.
Yeah, no, everything is virtual. We ask that you mention where you're based in the application. If you're going to travel, please note somewhere in the application that where you're planning to be, because we take that into consideration when we match with a mentor based on their time zone and your time zone. But usually it works, and people find a way to meet, whether it's Zoom or elsewhere, unless if you're in the same city and you have the opportunity to meet, that's always great. But no, everything is virtual.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jackie?
I just had a quick question. I was wondering if you could put the application again, like as a link in the chat.
For sure.
Thanks.
Can I talk again? I know I'm talking too much, but can I talk again? And let me just ask Jen a question. Jen, with your experience, everyone, like, it's the whole point of it is to work on a body of work, right? So Jen, when you were working with Arthur, basically you were workshopping, right? You were going back and taking his feedback, right? And so that was something that my last mentees, like, I needed to clarify with them, that you submit whatever you want. So there's a sample of writing, but that when you're meeting with your mentor, that you know what you want to be working on or have an idea of it. And so the rhythm of it is, we meet first time, we talk about it. This is what I'm going to send you. Okay. And then feedback is sent. And then the mentee looks at it, right, Jen? That was your rhythm with Arthur.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was right. We had that first meeting, which was, just this kind of exploratory, what are you looking for? What kind of support do you need? Where are you in the process? And at first I did have very big ideas, like, I want to put together my collection. And he was like, okay, hold on. He sort of was like, let's try to piece it. And then it was really good. I just sent him sort of chunks. I sent him like 3 to 4 poems before every session. And then if we got through as many, in an hour. And that's what I did with my mentor as well, as I would ask for, 3 to 4 poems, send me those, look them over, we discuss. Sometimes we got through them all. Sometimes, but then it ended up, you go into talking about literary magazines that would be a good fit. And we talk about, writing contests, all these other things. But yeah, definitely to have a good idea. And I would, sometimes it's generative. So maybe, like the mentor I had last summer really wanted writing exercises by the end. And so then I just started giving him sort of ideas, and he really enjoyed that too, because he wanted to really be producing more, as well as looking at more older work. And so it really becomes like what you're looking for, as well, and sort of what fits in that time frame too.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to thank for this project. This is a beautiful project. It's more than what I dream about. Hopefully, we'll communicate, we'll cooperate, and we'll see. I hope it continues next year as well. Maybe I'll do the translation of the book I'm referring to, and maybe I will write. I don't know. My plan is to write 4 books, and I'll finish by the end of this year. But I may continue writing. I don't know, but not poems, just real stories.
Thank you, Manu. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Really,
And your interest.
good luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Yes, so thank you, everyone. Again, I cannot emphasize the fact that if for some reason you don't get picked this year, it's not because we didn't like your writing. It's because we couldn't find a good match for you. So try again. There have been mentees who tried the first year, they didn't get in. They got it the second year, the third year. So do not give up on that. And the other thing is, definitely look at your summer schedule and make sure your summer schedule allows you to commit to something like this. It's very disappointing when, there's so much work is being put into this, and then for some reason the mentee cannot make it to these appointments. So please, please, please check your summer schedule before you apply. And like somebody asked, I think Amara was asking, it is all virtual. Everything is virtual, which is great. I mean, we don't have to meet face to face. The idea is on Zoom or any other media, we can actually meet and go over your writing. That's it from me. Thank you, everyone. Hovsep, you want to close the?
Yeah. I referred to the membership when I was looking at the guidelines, but just to mention again, if you cannot pay the full amount or you need a full waiver, do write to us. We take that into consideration and offer a couple of waivers each year. And also to say that the membership allows you not only to benefit from the mentorship program, but in the future to also apply to our grants, which is something you might want to keep at the back of your mind. I know that some of you have applied or have been interested in applying to our grants. We have a creative writing grant, as well as in the past year 2 translation grants from and to Armenian. The genres and the languages, they change, they alternate from Western Armenian to Eastern Armenian, etc. That's another thing you can benefit from, as well as if you publish a book, we help promote members' books, and we have the events all year round. And this year we will also offer workshops, which will be discounted or free of charge for IALA members. So, just keep an eye on our website and our socials. We also have a newsletter you can subscribe to. And yeah, we're here. If you have any questions, you can write to us, and we look forward to receiving your applications.
Questions or ideas, or if you're thinking about something that you think, oh, this would be great for IALA to tackle, submit your ideas. We would love to hear what you're thinking. And a lot of our mentees usually come back and they're helping on some level, whether behind the scenes or they're helping in different programs that we run. So it's an ongoing relationship that once you get into this, there's a lot to be done. So thank you, everyone who joined us. Thank you, Ovsep, Jen, and Aida. Really means a lot that you guys are all here. Thank you.